Again, good morning, good afternoon, and good morning, good evening. Welcome to the 10th day. Let us start with some question answers. So if you have questions, then we'll start from there by the time other people join. No question? We covered 4 subjects last time, 4 topics, 4 knowledge areas. And there are no questions?
I do have one on the risk before I covered the others topics last week itself. So I'm trying to figure out the question. Give me a minute.
Okay. Is there anyone here who has not attempted quizzes, any of the quiz? All have attempted all quiz? Okay, risk one is it. But let me ask you, what do you think about the questions? Are they tough? Are they moderate complexity? How are you finding them? Are you able to easily attempt them, or you're finding some kind of challenges, but those unclarity or those things are getting resolved when you read the explanation? What is your opinion?
The questions are good. Sometimes a lot of confusion arises because of the use, because of the verbiage used in the question. So I know definitely that's the way they want somebody to make sure that he understood the topic for sure. But some questions, like, we feel that it's like we can just answer it accordingly, like what you feel, but probably it may not be the right answer. You know what?
Okay.
Yeah, so what I was trying to tell is, like, you usually go with the intuitions, like, oh yeah, this is going to be the right answer for that, but once you end up the quiz and look onto the answers, you see surprises.
Okay. So on an average, how much you able to secure or want to or could have managed to score?
Mostly in 7 and 8. You mean the grade?
7 and 8. What about others?
Yeah, and I thought risk management would be much easier. And I I spent less time on that, but I could score only 7, and the last one I scored 8.
Okay. What about others?
I felt that the questions covered all the levels, Vivek. I mean, some of the questions are easy, straightforward. Some of them are moderate, and some of them you have to actually pay a little more attention, because I remember this question and I liked it much. In the communication management, a question has been asked regarding the number of communication channels. There the numbers have been mentioned, and but I did not consider me as a part of the stakeholders.
Mm-hmm.
So there are two answers given. One is with respect to the numbers given in the question, and when I read the explanation, it said that I ignored myself as a stakeholder, basically, service manager.
One of the question is like that.
Kind of questions actually.
You miss yourself.
Sorry? Yeah.
But on an average, how much you able to score?
7, I can say, on an average.
On an average 7.
But I'm wondering if there will be more.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering in exam whether there will be more numerical questions than in the practice, or
there will be more or less this type of question you will find is a mix of some are very simple, just straightforward, what is input, output, or simple formula. But mostly, I think they are situational questions. There will be some calculation based, numerical based, especially on EVM, and some EMV, and some like estimation based. But most of the questions you will find them, they are situational. Somewhat you find at the end of the quiz, the questions which are at the end of the quiz. Anyone else want to share some?
Hi everyone, hi Vivek.
Yeah, hi Kishore.
So just wanted to ask with you, because is it the same level of difficulty or toughness we are going to get in the exam, or this is comparatively easier set of questions than what we get in the exam?
Comparatively difficult. The question is the exam is comparatively difficult than this.
Okay.
They are simpler actually.
Because on an average, like as you mentioned, like we are getting 7 and 8, so we
I tell you what we have done.
Like as if we are getting 5.
We have distributed questions. We have distributed questions with simple, first simple, and then medium complexity, and the end, most of the questions are situational.
Okay.
The exam, this is an equal distribution kind of thing. But in exam, the questions you are finding at the end of the quiz, they are more actually.
Okay. And it is not an adaptive kind of testing, right? Like the questions will be based on the type of answers we give. Do they change, or it's a flat question?
No. When the exam starts, it selects 200 questions, and then it starts giving you like you can freely move around in 200 questions.
Yeah.
You can attempt the 200 question first, and then you can move backward also.
Okay.
So it's not based on your answers.
Okay.
So Vivek, I have a question on the risk management. The question is question 22.
Question 22. Okay.
It's rather a simple question. The problem is like, can we expect these kind of questions in the exam? Like, so.
Okay. You are in the process of identifying risk on your project. Several of your team members, architect and subject matter experts are on other locations. but wish to be part of the risk identification process. Which of the following is the best technique to involve them in the process? See, the thing which is shown here is the team is scattered. That is not co-located.
Yeah.
So the best technique to use is Delphi technique, because in Delphi it is kind of survey or kind of questionnaire. It is not interactive. So you can send the survey to everyone, or you can send the questionnaire and they can send it back to you with their answers. And you can compile them. So you get diversified information in a structured manner.
Okay. Yeah, I did also offer C, but the question is like more like I had a confusion, like in our handout it's written that it's kind of a survey, so that's the confusion I had. So
it's a kind of
Delphi was defined as a survey, right?
A kind of survey, right?
Yeah. So even though I opted for Delphi, I just want to check with you, and I got it right. So,
yeah, see, Monte Carlo is irrelevant because it's a simulation technique. So it doesn't apply the situation.
And
in regular phone calls, the stakeholders may not be appropriate because the team is diversified geographically.
Correct. Oh, okay.
Co-location is again an expensive thing. The most convenient is Delphi only.
Okay. And one more I had is probably question 16. No, I think I'm good. I'm good. Thanks, Vivek.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay.
And the question 28 also, because it didn't make much sense to me, even though I got it wrong also.
Okay. 28 risk management only, right?
Yeah.
During risk assessment meeting, a new risk has been identified and assessed qualitatively. That risk did not rank higher than any of the previously identified risks. What does the project manager do? It's a low priority risk, and in the ranking it is at the lower level. So you hardly have to do anything actually. You just add it into your list because it is low priority. You cannot ignore it because it may change its behavior. So low ranking risk, we normally keep them in watch list.
Okay. So I basically went with the quantitative risk analysis because I thought you do have to need both quantitatively and quantitative analysis in the risk. So that's where I went wrong.
Yeah, so the thing is that only high ranking, you saw the matrix where the red, amber and green areas were there, right?
Yeah.
So we said that we have to create a kind of rule that only the red ones will go for quantitative analysis, or only amber and red will go for quantitative analysis. Normally the greens are not going there at least.
Okay.
So if you look at this risk, this is actually falling into green area.
Yeah. I thought for either B or D, so I never thought about adding to the watch list.
Okay, any other question from anyone? So how many people could manage to read this case study? anyone here who couldn't read this case study? Forgot to read. I'm sure it doesn't take time. Everybody has read it, right? Okay, so let's start doing this way. We will start from top and we'll listen from the people what are their opinion. So who is on the top? Ashwin. People starting from A, the name starting from A is always at the risk of in the forefront. So Ashwini, will you share your ideas or your opinion, your assessment of this case study? What do you think? Are you able to hear me? I hope she is not on mute. She's on mute.
Vivek, I thought that you wanted the feedback. That's why I emailed you.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm not sure if it could be there is a problem with her. So let's move to the next one. And he is a fresh, just joined the session. So I think he's the right candidate to speak out. Rishikesh?
Hi. I am just going through it. Give me a couple of minutes.
Okay, you're going through this now?
Yeah, I'm going through it.
Okay, too busy. Okay, let's go to the next one. Kishore. I think Kishore have read it.
Yes, Vivek, I have read it, but I haven't sent you anything.
No, that's
Am I
fine.
supposed to send the list?
Yeah, go ahead.
So to me, I think like when you ask the risks, the top risk, I would say the risk would be like the client manager, because he's visiting the site, so he may be dissatisfied with the performance or with the deliverables given. Hello.
Yeah. I think I was looking for three. So what is the risk actually?
Okay. The risk. Risk is that the project may be cancelled, or it may move to some other.
Sure.
because the client manager is visiting the place, so he might be dissatisfied with the performance.
Mm-hmm. I'm not able to hear. I think his voice is, I'm losing his voice. With the other people only, or I only losing the voice?
I could hear him intermittently. Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Because it looks like he's fading away. That's what I.
Yeah.
Oh, my voice is fading away.
Yeah, I'm actually losing the in the between. In between. So it's not consistent actually.
Yeah, intermittent breakage was there. So
Okay, maybe I need to add. You're getting it now?
Yeah, but you speak for some time, then people tell you. No. Okay. I think Simon, why not you share it? Let Kishore come back a little later.
yeah, I can.
Yes.
Yeah, I can do that way.
Yes.
So am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Okay, thanks. So I probably this is the way I figured it out, and I'm not sure this is what you wanted. So I identified the risks of this project, in this way. Like, first of all, the company or Ashwin Khanna failed to give Mr. Vinod necessary training on project management before promoting him as a project manager. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So number two is executing the project with Vinod Khanna's limited knowledge in project management, especially in quality control and risk management, which caused us issues which we could see on the PDF which you have shared. So, and the third one, which I felt is like setting expectations, which usually happens in the industry with the customer for deliverables, which are done with insufficient test data, and given the expectation, we have to always take into consideration some caveats. So that is one which they have done in those, which I consider as a risk from their part. And the last one is like, once Vinod figured there was an issue, he should have arranged a team meeting to address and understand clearly the issue, and and first place and to how to mitigate it. That's what see on the risk side, and on the resolution side, Vinod or the company management should adopt project management process wherever it is missing. Because we know this been advanced to a certain level, and right now it's a point, it's better late than never policy to figure out the missing links or missing process and incorporate them. And the second point is, the risk analysis and testing should be conducted regularly. That's my opinion, in any phase of the project. And third, since Monica was involved in the project from the start, it's a very big risk to lose her. So I think it's a good idea for Vinod to confront with her and ask her to withdraw her recognition, and ask her to move forward with the corporate cooperate her and asking to cooperate and asking her cooperation basically to finish up this project smoothly.
Right. Very well, Sai. Now, when we analysis is easier actually because you have traveled the road. But when you are in the driving seat, you are driving the car and you have a signal where you have to take a turn. So you have a limited time, right? Within that time, you need to decide you have to go left, right or straight. The project is also same. The project is started, then it is the time meter is down. So you need to decide within a limited time because the things are moving. Okay, so a couple of things I think I have very well highlighted that the Vinod should be given training on project management. He is not it's recently promoted to project manager. I ask you or all of you that how many of you have seen this happening or how much is that happening?
I see all the time.
Sorry?
I see it frequently.
You see, frequently the people are giving training and then giving the project manager a task, right?
No, the other way around. People are directly promoted with, other way around.
Right. So it's a very common thing in the industry as such you see. On the other side, if you see that you mentioned that the risk management kind of thing should happen regularly. Have you seen that happening?
Very few times.
Very few times. Once project
Not
manager
always.
gets down, yeah.
Especially during the start of the project, we see these kind of things pouring down all the way, but as the project kicks off and it starts getting into the execution process, the risk identification or risk mitigation comes only for critical risks or which are very high risk, which impact the schedule or the cost of the project.
Risk management is normally forgotten after the project has moved into execution until unless some risk hit you.
Correct, yes.
Right? Now, on the other side, we say that winners should be given training and then given the project manager. I have seen many companies who have a regular process. They don't make project managers unless they have given the training. But tell me one thing, will training change the person overnight and make him project manager just one training or two trainings?
No, it doesn't work that way.
And one thing you might have observed that he steered the last project very well.
Yeah, because then he was an individual contributor. He was not managing something.
No, he completed one project which he steered quite well after like the last project. This is what mentioned here. But the thing is that could be a very simple project. Nothing is mentioned about the complexity of the project.
Yes, correct.
So the question
No,
arises
I think he's just gone by the old thing. Yeah.
Sorry, Shrikant?
Yeah, I feel that he's just gone by the old thing, continued the old way, and then he is not even thought about the risks which can come in the project. A very simple thing is that they are not even testing it and the test data is not available. That is one of the major areas which are left open, and secondly are left it to his subordinates without really going into it in detail.
Yeah, that is the problem. Vinod is not moving into any kind of area actually. He's not moving into details. So whenever he finds, he left the things to the team, or mainly the technical lead. So the issues are coming up, but he stay away. He stay on the shore actually. He doesn't jump into the project. And the simple reason could be he is unable to understand what need to be done. Or maybe the project is more complex than this person can handle. This is pretty frequent, right? We get a project manager on the project, he is trained also, but the project is more complex than his capabilities. Right? This is what normally happens in the when the projects are getting messed up, or on the project management side. We are not every time project manager is untrained. The whole situations come, what to do if the project is more complex than the project manager can handle.
I mean, the PM should let the maybe sponsor or the other corresponding stakeholders, like whatever his qualifications or what he is capable of doing, so that they will get an gaze of his abilities before asking him to stretch on a certain project.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But if you know it, when the project starts, you think it is okay. It may not be that complex, or it turned out to be more complex than you ever thought of.
Yes, quite possible.
And in fact, that's very common. Like initially, you don't know about project. We accept in PMI that initially the projects are projects are progressively elaborated. Real complexity you come to know after, like in a one year project, after a couple of months. And at that time, if you want to change project manager, if that is the resolution, then you will lose a lot, right?
But Vivek, in such cases, if the PM is not performing well, or if, I mean, as you said, based on the complexity of the project, there is no progress being done, or it's the project is being delayed, and so is it mentioned, or as per PMBOK, like should the sponsor or other corresponding stakeholders should hold PM as accountable for that?
PM is always accountable, but the thing is that what are the responsibilities of other people also? So PM may be accountable, you can hold him accountable, you can kick him out also, but that will not make the project successful.
Yeah. In that case, the PM should highlight the risks, or like in this case, like what I see, like the data was not given completely, so the PM should have escalated it, saying that that should be required before rolling out or something.
Absolutely, actually this is what the PM should do. But normally what happens, the PM is not capable, or he is less capable, or he is not understanding what needs to be done. There should be a mechanism in the project management process which can uncover, right? In my opinion, that kind of process is not there in the system, which can uncover what project manager is not able to do. so that Mr. Ashwin Khanna can intervene and provide support, or if he wants to provide support. It doesn't seems to be like that, he's any keen of support, like any, otherwise problems were there in the beginning, he would have identified that.
Hello.
Yeah. Do you think there are too much dependency on one person in this project?
I agree with you, Vivek. Like, I mean, the PM has left it on Monica, and even Ashwin has left it on Vinod.
So here what I think is definitely there is a need of more person. Ashwin Khanna should consider this point that Vinod has not seen this much of complex project, and Vinod has not seen that technically he is dependent on one person. He should have, and the other thing is, when he was technically good, he should have involved more into team meetings. He should have tried to understand what is going on at the bottom level, and he didn't try to judge that. That is also one fact. Monica, he should not have depended on Monica. He should also have one more point of contact there to distribute that load, to collect the inputs, and Mr. Ashwin Khanna should identify that Vinod has not seen this thing, so he could give one person helping him, more senior person, so that when Vinod can discuss the issues with that senior person and or with Mr. Ashwin himself, that way all these issues would have identified in early stage, and they might have gone to on correct way. He will not have aligned into the process.
Right. So there should be some mechanism in the project, in the project management process in the organization, which should help in uncovering the problems in the project. We should not wait till the end of the project when the things really get escalated.
But usually we like the status reports or whatever kind of communication plan we have. So that should uncover the status of the project, right? Whether it's running on schedule or any risks identified.
Yes, so you see, did you read this in that what is written here in this? As it was a highly visibility project, delivery head Mr. Khanna and client PM Kevin wanted to know the progress, and Vinod was good at preparing detailed report and deliver promptly whenever asked.
Can we take that like they never asked him?
The status reports are provided on demand.
Okay.
Don't you think it itself is a problem? Basic.
Yeah, I definitely feel so.
That means the progress report is not regular. Vinod did not bother too much about the cost. I don't really think that anybody has infinite money to spend on the project. There could be a luxury, but luxury also has a limit. So not bothering too much about the cost is also a problem. Because the client has told you that you don't bother about the cost doesn't mean we should stop tracking cost. At some point of time, client will also go run out of money, right? The money is not infinite. Even if you have too much of money, you're still managing it, right? Though Vinod was not having any pressing assignment except to track this project, but he preferred to leave the details with Monica. So what is happening that though he doesn't have any other assignment, but he is still not tracking this project, or he doesn't want to go into detail of the project. Actually, he is just managing the project, sitting on the shore, and Monica is actually swimming around and steering everything. The day Monica will go away, that everything will shut down.
I think Vivek, this clearly gives an idea that Vinod is kind of a resource dependent, right? So he is completely dependent on Monica to execute the task, and that could be one of the major reasons why the project went for a toss. And the other thing could be like maybe.
Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. Did we discuss on this? Maybe I was late for the meeting. Sorry about that.
No, you continue. I want to hear views of the people. Yeah, just go ahead.
Can I share my views?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. The other thing what I could find out is like Vinod was lacking in terms of communicating information to the higher team other than Kevin, like the customer. Probably he could have given a heads up, like what is the current status of the project, and probably could have got more feedback from the customer, like to be more active and getting more details about the cost related stuff, the cost management, and on the tracking part of it.
That's right.
At a very high level, the major drawback or major risk what I would feel is the resource dependent. So that's a major risk.
Right. This project looks like a big bang approach. Everything is happening at the end. There is no approach to provide some small stuff or some proof of concept or something small, some sample or some kind of small deliverable or iterative kind of deliverable can be provided to the customer so that he can give some early feedback.
Right. And also, since Vinod had some kind of experience with Monica, he assumed that whatever the new work he's going to take up with a new project like the financial domain, he never bothered to look into more detail, like whether Monica is well versed with this new domain, or does she need any kind of training or anything that would mobilize the execution of the project. So there are a lot of things that he kind of it finally trails down to the resource dependency.
Right.
And,
actually, he becomes on resource dependency because if he wanted, he would have avoided it.
Yeah. I think the second part of this discussion talks about like Monica was not well versed with his financial domain, and that's where she was like getting into more problems with the project. and later she decided to leave the organization, right?
I think she's seeing that there's too much dependency on her and things are not right.
Right.
And she's at the center stage.
You mean more pressure on Monica? Is that what you're saying, Vivek?
I think she's technical lead. Vinod is not participating very actively. So she appears to be in the center stage. Right? And current situation is not so good.
Vivek, this happens a lot.
It happens a lot.
This happens a lot because people feel like blame.
Yeah, that's a blame game altogether.
Yeah. So when you take lead on something where nobody is ready to take, and if something happens negatively, the blame game happens.
Right.
And
the biggest contributor is blamed mostly.
yes, obviously.
That's what actually seems to be happening here, and she is scared about it.
Yeah, that's what another thing I wanted to point out. Like this gentleman Vinod, instead of having a I saw somewhere, I read somewhere that he had a discussion with Monica on this. Instead of having, yes, it's good to have a discussion, but it should have been a broader kind of team meeting involving everybody and understanding what's going on. So she might have not felt the blame or the pressure,
She preferred to stay away such a situation where she find it in a very difficult situation. So anyway, she's in the limelight. She's doing everything. So you are working with a very intelligent workforce actually. So if a person is intelligent of the project, the same person is intelligent of the project also. Intelligence is not bonded, right? Limited to the project only. I tell you one simple story. And one of the project manager was known to me. I was just with him. One day I found him little tense. And I was seeing that he was running a project for some time now. So I asked him, okay, it is a delivery time. You looks little tense, like not all things are good in the project. So what I think I touched the weakest point, and he come out that okay, Vivek, the most important people in the project who are taking care of, or who are actually required the project, when the project is in real problem, and we need their time. As soon as the evening happens, they start looking at the clock. So I don't know if I see a lot of seriousness in the project, or I see there are a lot of things to be done. I can't see the clock. Then how these people can look at the clock? And there is no ownership altogether. So he was a similar kind of scenario, not that bad as it looks like here, but the person on whom he was relying was disinterested in the project, because as soon as 7 o'clock he sees, 6 o'clock he sees, start looking at that when he has to go home. And why he is looking at the go home? Because he is not interested in the project. And that person was like a technical lead and leading a lot of things in the project. So I asked him, you want him to take leads and take ownership of the various things of the project. So absolutely, that's what this is. It too much to ask? I don't think it is too much to ask, but tell me one thing. For 6 months, you are in the project now. If this person was so important to you, what you have done for him as of now, last 6 months? You know, it was this kind of silence.
Thing is
You never
lacking,
take
there
care
is
of
no
that person.
motivation.
How will that person will take care of you? If this person in your project is important, you have to look from that person's point of view also, that that person wants want to go somewhere, want to achieve something in the life, want to get some appreciation, want to get promoted, want to get the salary high. Maybe there are aspirations for everyone. Who will look after those aspirations? If you cannot look after the aspiration, why that person will look after the project? What this project is in fact giving to him? So as soon as person put up his paper, we realize all these things and start negotiating. As you will see here also, it will happen. We're trying to win a lost war. So we are so obsessed with our own things that we never think of there are stakeholders around who have their takeaway. They want something in the project, and therefore we always suggest that do not take those people on the projects to whom this project cannot offer anything to grow, or it cannot give raise in the salary, it cannot give any new challenges to the people, cannot promote the person. If he cannot add value to a person, and you get that such a person, maybe highly qualified person on the project, that person will lose the interest very fast, because he will very soon realize that this project has nothing to give him in this project. So he will be disinterested in the project, will try to leave the project as the earliest. So we always recruit people on the project to whom we can offer some kind of challenge, some kind of appreciation, some kind of positive or some kind of a value add to the person, so that the person remain interested in the project. If there is nothing, we have to find out something. You have to create a kind of scene where that person can get something out of the project. So this project seems to be quite a massive project, because the project manager seems little less experienced. The project seems to be little more complex. Everything relying on one person. Risks are getting highlighted, but nobody is there to recognize them. And that's what happened in other projects also. Who cares for risk when the project is started? Until and unless test case started coming up, right? Until and unless Hello? Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So until unless something happened, like here, the test cases started failing. The risk is already materialized. Now we take action. So we become very reactive when the project is being executed. Right?
Yes, Vivek.
Say it again.
No, I was agreeing.
But this kind of scenarios usually happens like that.
It's a very common
There may
case.
be,
Actually. It's a very common.
yeah, the data that like we will not be getting the required data. The testing cannot happen as in a live environment.
It's very common, especially in financial sector. Because of the confidentiality of the data is really not available, and you cannot produce that data. Whatever you do, the produced data is nowhere near to the actual data.
Yeah, Vivek, I agree, but in that case we can ask for a kind of we can use some dummy data. Dummy data is the data which doesn't have any critical information, but it's as similar as the information they are supposed to give.
You are right,
Not
but
all-
my experience says that whatever dummy data you create, or at least I have seen that wherever I see that it was not near to the actual data. Actual data has much more complexity than actually the data which was created by the team. The team can create only very simple data. Actually.
And sometimes in my experience, like the schedule or the time required for preparing the dummy data is not included. So people tend to do only the final level of data, not delve into the actual data. Even the dummy data creation is not done correctly. So
Yeah, I agree.
You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely right.
Yeah, I agree. The time to create the dummy data it's very critical. And when I refer that dummy data, as far as the functionalities testing and everything, we can rely upon that dummy data. But the time and effort to create the dummy data is not accounted anywhere.
Right. And
Correct.
whatever you do, even after that, you have to be upfront with the customer that this requires testing on the real data. So means once you produce the software, you have to send the software to the customer to run it with the actual data.
Yes. So in
You need to make a
project,
provisions for such things.
This point should have emphasized earlier by in this case. We should have told them that this is the case, we do not have actual data. So when actual data would come and when real-time scenario would go, maybe there would be more number of defects, and at that time maybe we should have asked for that extra timeline, or all these risks should have been conveyed at the time only, so that customer would have agreed on that, or there would have some discussion on that. And that way even Monica may not have felt pressurized. He would have conveyed her all these things. In this case, she felt like she is alone responsible for all these things, and even she left Vinod lost the resource and he didn't understand the entire scenario. So situation was really messed up.
Absolutely. She is scared now that looking at that things are not right, and because she is doing everything, everything will be blamed on her.
And when these things were not discussed, maybe what she was interpreting that may have happened in that scenario, because nobody, like including customer or they didn't the understanding was not right. The perception, the right understanding was not there where the issues are. So that might be the first scenario. She might have blamed at first sight. That's the reason she left the video.
Yeah, it's very common. And when anybody will find himself or herself in this situation, will find some way out actually. So many things actually, let me summarize that many things are here in this to learn. That one thing is that the organization itself does not have any mechanism to discover or uncover such kind of anomalies early in the project life cycle. So we are getting all these, they are still not aware actually, they will come to know now because the project manager himself is unaware of as of now. Okay, so that is one thing. Second thing, that we have given the responsibility of the project to a project manager who is new to the project. Right. And when the things are going wrong, project progress report is unable to uncover these. There are issues in the project, but those issues are not coming up in the progress report because nobody is actually attending them. Risks are there, but nobody is actually documenting the risk. The risk management is really poor. Even the things, the dependency on one person is too high. So even if the project manager is doing so, at least a person next to him should be able to identify and warn the project manager that this could be a problem. Otherwise, what is the role of a senior manager then? Second thing, the team is there. We need to take care of the team interest also on the project. So if we are not taking care of team interest, the team will lose its interest in the project. And one of the such incidents, you can see that Monica is there. She is doing everything, but she is unaware that anybody is taking care of her interest also, and she has to take care of her interest own. And she did it very well. As such, if you see the planning part and the execution part is also not so good in the project. So a couple of things like that, there should be some mechanism to identify such things early in the project. Second thing, there should be a mechanism to support the project manager in case the project becomes more challenging than the project become more challenging than the project manager's capabilities. Everybody has some capability, right? You exceed at some point of time. There should be proper assessment. I think what is happening in the project. There should be some kind of audits in the project, that if the things are really being done or not. The customer's feedback should be taken early in the cycle, not in the end of the cycle. Customer may not be aware about it. Because customer is not expert. It is the vendor who is expert and then should drive the project and try to get early feedback from the customer. And if they have taken early feedback from the customer, many risks can be mitigated. We have several examples. Right? Anyone has any other opinion, or we should switch to our one of the subject? Remain.
I'm good, Vivek.
Vivek,
Yeah.
I have another real-time example I was just going through while talking about risk management. Can we discuss now or maybe later?
It is a quicker one, please. I think if it is in the context, you please speak up. It will be better.
Yeah. Maybe I'll just try to make it short. Basically, there's a new program that one of our colleagues is trying to handle, and it is a mixture of both hardware and software to be developed as a product. And it's been, shared across multiple geolocations in this world. Like, hardware has been developed in Mexico, and software and validation is done in India. So as per the plan, it's still in the initial stages. Like, considering the risks that we could anticipate, the schedule has been prepared to prototype the product to the customer and then win the project. It's still in the stage of initial winning the process. So based on the risk, like since it is a mixture of hardware and software, the hardware has to be shipped to India to start setting up a bench for the testing and development activities. And there was a good amount of schedule being reviewed to include the risk in terms of delaying in the hardware and things like that. But in real time, the actual situation, what we noticed or what I could hear is like, the hardware has been shipped to India, but unfortunately it got hold in customs for some other reason, which was not accounted as part of the risk. And it seemed like, as per the schedule, we had around 2 weeks of, time that was included as a risk, mitigation to resolve this issue. But now it seems like it's exceeding more than a month, and it's a win or lose situation to decide that. It's too late for us to decide this kind of a risk. So I'm just trying to understand, like, my question to you is, like, how can we? There could be a number. Different kind of risks at different levels. Like, how can we kind of anticipate such kind of a risk, which is unpredictable at the initial stages of the project. And moreover, there is no budget as of now for us to send the guys from here to to Mexico to get the setup done, or try to help them out to bring up kind of a prototype to win the business. So it's kind of a very escalated project as of now, just because of this kind of a risk, like being. It's not under the control of our organization, or kind of it's basically a government rules that is stopping us to release the material from the customs.
You are right, actually, and I think it's a pretty valid example. But let me tell you that this is not a risk which is unpredictable. This is a risk which is very well predictable. Only thing is that we need to involve the right person in the project and for risk identification, so that we get this kind of risk. So this risk is very much predictable. Now, there are many such risks which are predictable.
Right, I agree. Like, yeah, I agree. Like, looking at the historic data of such kind of a scenario, there was like I think maximum of 2 weeks being allocated as part of a mitigation plan for the stress. But this is going beyond that. Like it may be more than a month. I think the actual case is like as part of the same cargo shipment, there's some some other shipment which is kind of got fixed with our product and it's getting delayed just because of that. So
that's why the thing is that, let me tell you that in a project, if everything is predictable, then the role of the project managers ends. The project manager is actually uncertainty manager. If there is no uncertainty in the project, then what the project manager is going to do? He can plan and go away. Everything will happen as per the plan. But nothing happens like that. So you need to continuously steer looking at what new challenges are coming. Right? You wake up in the morning and go to the office. You don't get everything predictable. If you get everything predictable, your life will be boring absolutely. You are there to face the new kind of challenges, new kind of things, and nothing new happened today, then today is really boring. Isn't it? So to keep the project interesting, I think it is always been required that something unpredictable is happening. And that's why the project managers employed. And therefore, we need to find out risk and their mitigation. And you say mitigation, it's a plan. It may or may not happen. So we have to continuously work on that. Sometimes we predict like in the initial stage itself, and whatever the mitigation we have figured out are quite good, but many times they are not so good. So we need to identify some workarounds. We need to, that's why we say that there is a contingency reserve, there is a management reserve also over and above, because there is something which we might have not predicted, which we couldn't manage very well, or we don't know how to manage that thing, or things take much more time than we actually thought of. So yes, to identify more and more risk, you have to involve more and more people, but that doesn't bring any kind of certainty. This uncertainty is still there in the project, and therefore that is the reason of being having a plan. Because many times I ask, why you have a plan when no project goes as per the plan? To stay on track. Because plan will tell you that how much you have deviated, and so that you can come back. You put efforts to come back. You take actions. So though you say this was identified and 2 weeks were kept for that, now it is taking more than 4 weeks. So we should be considering those cases, also looking at the historical information, that sometimes it takes more time. What are we going to do? And many times you have nothing to do. Like we said, we need to accept the risk. Many times there could be possibility that you can't do anything. You have to accept it. And I think use contingency amount for backfill or pay the damages. Compensate the damage.
Vivek, I have something to add.
Yeah.
So, I encountered exactly the same situation, and we had our logistics and procurement manager. She did a fantastic job, and as Rajesh pointed out, something was unexpected totally. And to add to that point, I would tell that in India, while the shipment got into the special economic zone, it was Dasara or holy holidays. So the customs officer was not, he was on leave, and the data inside the hardware got stale. So yeah, we can look back to the historic, experience like this, and we have to, have a cautionary measure for that kind of, unexpected incidents happen. So, yeah, as you rightly told, a experienced, logistics and procurement manager can be very helpful on that, and she kind of forecast, most of the things like this, unexpected, expected things. So, yeah, that was one of my experiences.
Absolutely right. And whatever mitigation plan you make, does not make your project 100% uncertain or 100% certain. There will be a degree of uncertainty always.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I was talking about. So it could be a new kind of a risk what the project manager is trying to experience, and maybe it can get added to the historic books, right? And probably he has to work as a challenge, take this up as a challenge, and see how we can, take the project forward, right?
Absolutely. And that's why the historical information, recording of the keeping the project archives are important, and therefore taking input from the various stakeholders is important, because you may not able to, project manager or project management team may not be able to think all around like that. You have to involve other people who are concerned with different aspects of the project. Only they can bring the risk related to that area. Okay, so let's switch to our subject, and today we are going to. Okay, I think we have some. Makant is saying something. Got to know different perspective about risk, all things. Okay, I think you have to say something. Okay, so let's go to the procurement management. That's the next thing, and this is the knowledge area which is very different than other knowledge area. And I will say going through this knowledge area is a unique opportunity to look at the project from the customer's point of view. Because in this knowledge area, you are the customer and you are hiring a vendor. So if you have taken a project from your customer, you may be thinking exactly the same way like you are thinking now when giving the project to the other vendor. And therefore, this knowledge area is pretty important in that sense. Okay, so this knowledge area is talking about how to acquire goods or services or part of your product, getting things done from outside of the organization. There are 4 processes in this: plan procurement in planning group, conduct procurement in execution group, control procurement in monitoring and control group, and the last is the close procurement is in closing group. Before we get into the system or get into the knowledge area, let's understand some of the terms which are used here. So 1, 2, 3 things come into picture in procurement, or there are 3 parts of the procurement. One is seller, another is buyer, and there is a contract between seller and buyer. Seller is also called contractor, vendor, supplier, service provider, bidder, or there could be some other name also. Buyer is normally known from customer, acquiring organization, service requester, purchaser. And contract is a legal agreement between seller and buyer which drive the procurement of the goods. Now the process starts from when you make a decision on make or buy. Okay, you have some challenge in your project, or you have some part of your project on which you don't have skills. What do you do in such case? You have two options: either give this product to be developed by some vendor outside of organization, or you can think of acquiring some skills in that area and making your own within the organization. So you need to make a decision on make or buy. You want to make it or you want to buy. If you make a decision to make it internally, the procurement does not come into picture altogether. But if you decided to buy or you wanted to outsource this, then the first thing you need to do is create a statement of work. Prepare an RFQ, RFP, RFI, RF. There are many such different names: request for proposal, request for quotation, request for information, and many things. So prepare such a document, float it to receive the proposal or the response. Evaluate those responses and select a seller, a contractor or supplier, and award him the contract. Once the contract is awarded, you need to administer the procurement. That is, what is the procurement happening as per the contract. During this procurement, once the procurement is done, you review it, accept it, and close the procurement before you close the project. So there are 4 processes in this: plan, procurement, management. In this, you make a decision of make or buy and prepare a procurement document, RFI, RFQ, or RFP, like that. Then you go into the contract procurement, where you execute your project procurement management plan, float the procurement document, get the proposals, and select a seller and award him a contract. Once it is done, then you would get into the control procurement, where you see that the procurement is happening as per the contract. You are seeing that all the compliance are done. You review when the items are delivered to you, you accept them, and once all the items are delivered to you, you come to the closer and close it. So there is a possibility that on some points you or vendors do not agree. Those things are called claims or challenges, and you have to settle them by negotiations, by talking, by arbitrator, or if nothing works out, then through the courts, legal procedures. The plant procurement is a process of making a decision and preparing a procurement document, procurement management plan, and selecting a seller. Identifying a seller, not selecting. So you make or buy this, make a buy decision, and then prepare procurement document, procurement management plan, and procurement document. So this is procurement management plan, statement of work, SOW, and procurement document, RFI, RFQ, and a source selection criteria. How to select a seller. There are various inputs in this. One important input comes from organization process assets. In the corner you see the type of the contract. The type of the contract is important before you actually move into the contract. So in the procurement, the contract is very important. So we should understand various type of contract before we move further. Broadly, there are three types of contract. One is fixed price contracts. Second is cost reimbursable contract. And third is hybrid, mix of these two, the time and material, which is pretty common in staff augmentation in IT. So what these contracts are? The firm fixed price contracts are the contracts where the payment is already fixed. So before you start the project, the payment for the project is already fixed. These type of contracts normally selected when the scope is well defined. You know everything, what is need to be done, requirements are very clear. The seller can understand what need to be delivered and can give a quote. Seller has experience, has done some kind of work. In this type of project, the greatest risk with the seller, because your amount will not going to change even if seller spend more. But on the other side, if seller manage the project very well, he has an opportunity to increase his profit. If he doesn't manage the project well, he may lose the money, but if he manage the project very well, he can improve his profits also. There are two variations of it, with incentive fee and with price adjustment, economic price adjustment. This fixed price with plus incentive fee is the type of contract where if incentive fee is kept to meet the specific objectives. So if the seller demonstrated a certain performance, he get the incentive fee. Most common thing is the time. So in government contract or in non-private contracts also, if you have seen, normally people say that if you deliver a particular item 1 week before, you have this incentive. Or if you deliver after the due date, you have to pay this much. The reverse incentive means you have to pay the penalty. On the other side, if you deliver early, then you will get this kind of incentive fee. So what the incentive fee is doing here? Incentive fees is actually aligning the contractor with the buyer, the seller with the buyer. What the buyer wants? Buyer wants the work to be done on time or before time. To motivate the seller to do so is put the incentive fee. So incentive fee, what is because of the incentive fee, now the seller also want to deliver it or complete the project before time. So what incentive fee is doing? It is aligning the objectives of seller and buyer both. And that's what the advantage of incentive. On the other side, another variation is economic price adjustment. Now this kind of things happens when you have a long-term projects. Suppose you taken up some maintenance of a software from like for 5 years. Now for 5 years the inflation come into picture. To adjust the inflation, this type of contracts are done, in which based on the inflation your price will rise or come down, or your price will be adjusted based on the inflation, as the inflation increasing or decreasing. The cost reimbursable contracts are a little different than fixed price. In this, what is happening? The cost of the seller is reimbursed by the buyer. So actual cost is reimbursed by the buyer, plus he also gives an incentive fee, which is normally the profit of the contractor. Okay. So contractor submit all the expenses to the seller, to the buyer. Buyer reimburse all this plus provide an incentive fee or some kind of fee, and that fee is actually the profit of the seller. These type of contracts are normally done when the scope is not well defined or requirements are not very clear. They are going to involve, and many times R&D projects are part of this. Now there are two variations of it: the cost plus incentive fee or cost plus fixed fee. I think there are more variations. So cost plus incentive fee is the same thing, that the cost will be reimbursed and the incentive fee will be provided or will be given based on meeting the specific performance. So yeah, the scope is uncertain, requirement is certain, still there are some target. If that target are met by the seller, then he pick up the incentive fee. Okay, so there is a difference between fee and incentive fee. Fee is normally a profit, while the incentive fee is normally a reward kind of things, which is given on meeting the certain performance, certain objectives. The cost plus fixed fee. In this case, the fixed fee is calculated as a percentage of the estimated cost. So seller is reimbursed all the cost, and as the whatever the cost is, the percentage of that cost is actually the fixed fee. So if the cost escalated, the fixed fee also get escalated. There is another variation of this, is cost plus award fee. Again the same thing here, but the only difference is that a majority of the payment in this after the cost reimbursement is as award. It goes as an award. So there is no fee as such, but you give an award fee that if you meet the specific performance, you get this award. Otherwise, you will get the cost reimbursed. The last type of contract is the time and material, also called unit price. It's a hybrid. Why it is hybrid? Because here the rates are fixed. Per person, an architect will cost the company $90 per hour, $100 per hour, let's say. Okay, but total cost is unknown. Like cost reimbursement, cost reimbursable contract. So the total cost is not known, but the price is known. So it's kind of hybrid. These type of contracts are normally done for staff augmentation in IT or other places also, to hire some experts, get some expertise on the project. Such kind of projects or such kind of contracts are signed. Now if you look at these all contracts, you will see that fixed price contracts, firm fixed price contracts, the highest risk with the seller, while the buyer has the lowest risk, right? On the other side, if there is a T&M on the other side, the project type is T&M, and in the T&M, the buyer's risk is highest and the seller risk is lowest. So buyer risk is higher and the seller risk is lowest in the T&M. Now there are various variation in this, but I think what is important here to remember is that the firm fixed price contracts normally have low risk for the buyer, high risk for the seller, and FFP is the highest risk for the seller and lowest risk for the buyer. Cost reimbursable contracts are less risky for the seller, while more risky for the buyer. And T&M is the biggest risk for the buyer and lowest risk for the seller. So in this we do make or buy analysis and decide that are we going to do this in-house or we're going to outsource. Once it's outsource, we prepare a procurement management plan which contains how this procurement will be done. So what are the various tools and techniques we are going to use? What is the methodology you're going to use? What will be the reporting format? What are the requirements? What are the risks which are going to be transferred as part of the outsourcing? What will be the metrics? What are the measurements to track the project or to track the procurement, to see the performance, if there are any specific performance or not, the reasons behind the decisions taken, and some directions to the seller, and the format, forms, etc. to be used in the procurement. So once you have the procurement management plan, you also prepare your statement of work. What is need to be procured as part of this project? So the statement of work will define everything what the seller will give as part of this procurement. You also prepare a procurement document, like it could be an invitation to bid, could be RFP, it could be RFQ, RFN, or invitation IFN, or request for information RFI, these kind of documents. Plus you also produce a source selection criteria which give various parameters on which the source will be, the seller will be selected. So when you get the response in the conduct procurement, how you going to rate those sellers and to select one or two. So we define various source selection criteria, various parameters on which we weigh various proposals and select one. We will discuss about that kind of example little later. In the contract procurement, we take the response from the seller, select using the selection criteria, and award the contract. Okay, so what we do, we float RFP, RFQ, get the response from the people. Then we do a bidder conference to update to address the questions or the clarification sought by the vendors. Once the bid is submitted, then we use the proposal evaluation techniques to select the sellers. Sometimes we also use independent estimate, means we hire a third party to get the estimate so that we can see which seller we should select. So the estimate too low or too high, both are problem. So you cannot select the too low also. So we go for, we do not have that much expertise. We hire an independent person who give the estimates, and then we compare that. Their estimate becomes the benchmark for the submitted quotes. And what we get is the seller which is selected and the agreement with the seller. You have procurement statement of work which will go as a part of the RFI, RFQ. You do the bidder conference. Bidder conference is a kind of meeting. It could be co-located, means it can be a face-to-face meeting, it could be over the phone also. and in that every sailor has the opportunity to ask question, and all the sailors are there on, and anybody asks the question is remain open for all the people. So the answer is provided to all the people. At the end of the speakers conference, all the question and answers are compiled and sent to all the people, so that everybody has the same information. Everybody has the equal opportunity to bid for the project. Once you get the bid, you use the proposal evaluation techniques to select one of the sailor. Use some analytical techniques, procurement negotiations. Many times what happens, the contractor's bid is not exactly matching what we are looking for, or though we're looking for some pricing, but none of the contractor is near to that, or is near to that but is not meeting to our expectation. In that case, negotiations come into picture. So we call the people, we select some of the contractors, call them for the meeting, negotiate with them so that we can get what we are expecting, and with some support which we can provide to the seller. Okay, so one of the point rating system for selection of the proposal is like that. Like in this case, we have identified 3 things. Like we will rate every bid or every proposal based on presentation, the capability, and the price. All 3 have almost same rating. Like in this, we say give more rating to the team, less to the format they have presented. We also look at here, we give more weightage to the technical capability and less weightage to the company and previous experience. In the case of price, we give very high weightage to the day rates and low weightage to the expense. And based on that, we put all the proposals come to us, and we select some of the one proposal or some of the proposal to negotiate. As an outcome, we get one of the sailors selected, and we move into agreement, award the contract. So we sign the contract with the sailor, that is called agreement, and this contract may have a statement of work, deliverables, or the deliverables, the place of delivery, performance reporting, roles and responsibility, pricing, payment terms, inspection. All these things can happen, or some of them can happen in the contract. It all depends upon the case to case. This could be an umbrella kind of thing. But you must set up a change management process at least. Dispute resolution mechanism should also be given. How a dispute means the claims we normally say, where the buyers and seller do not agree. Okay, we also have a resource calendar which talks about when the resources will be available and in how much quantity. Now, once you have signed the contract, now it is on the seller to supply as per the contract. But on the buyer side, we need to ensure that we are performing our duties and also ensuring that contractor is also doing its duty. So we look for the compliances, we look for the deliverables are happening, timelines. In many organizations, there is a separate department for the procurement, and that procurement department is actually take care of that how all these compliances of the contract. If you have a separate group in your company for the contracting, one of the main advantage of separate group is that you get expertise very quickly. Otherwise, if there is no separate department of the procurement, you may not get the expertise in the company, because there is no place for the procurement. If the procurement is done, then where this person will go. Okay, not all the projects require all kind of procurement. So normally in the organization where procurement is normal, there is a team to address procurement issues and normally control the procurement. Contract is a legal thing, therefore it should protect the legal rights under this contract, and if anybody violate the contract, it can be challenged in the court of law. So you have procurement document, agreements, change, and as a part of control procurement, what you do, you first establish a change control system, because changes are inevitable and many change can come, and therefore there should be a proper change management system. There should be a way to do the reviews for procurement. We should do inspection and audit for the compliance, and have a performance reporting system. A payment system to make payment to the vendor, claim system to settle the disputes, and what we get is the project performance information and the change request. So the work performance report is normally the progress report that the seller sends. Some kind of other information, status information, the status of the deliverables can also be part of it. And the data, which is actual data in the raw form, which at our side and at the customers at the vendor side we can acquire and which will be helpful to, like if you have acquired some people, then you may need timesheets. So timesheet is normally a raw data, it's not and based on that timesheet the invoice will be generated and you make the payments. Okay, so establishing a change control system so that all the changes should go through the change control system, and any change in the SOW is incorporated through the change control system only. Okay, time to time the sellers, it is the responsibility of the seller or the contract or the procurement department of the seller to see that, to review the performance of the seller. The project team can also participate in that if the matter is technical or specific to project related, that is to see that technically cost effectiveness and schedule the contractor is performing as per the contract. There many times there is the terms and condition under which the seller has to perform, and so in that case we should do the inspection and audits to ensure that all those terms and conditions are complied with. Now there is a payment system. Many times payments are either monthly or milestone based. In that case, okay, in many cases the payments are milestone based or they are monthly basis or bi-weekly basis kind of thing, whatever written in the contract. Based on that, it is the buyer's duty to make payments. There is a possibility on some changes or something which buyer or seller may not agree. In that case, they need to sit down and try to negotiate so that they settle on one of the resolution which is acceptable to both. In case that doesn't happen, then it could be an arbitrator or some other third party who can mediate and settle the matter. And if nothing works out, that you can settle these claims through case in the court of law. Independent regulator can work in this. Arbitrator can work on this. There should be a record management system that whatever the records are being produced, they are filed and accessible to the various stakeholders on the project. The output of this is like in other control processes. That is the plan versus actual, compliance to the contract, and the change request. The last section of the procurement is the closing. The closing happens when the procurement is complete, when all the deliverables as per the contracts are delivered and accepted by the buyer. It is the duty of the buyer to verify all the deliverables and accept them. If there are any claim, negotiate or go through arbitrator or anybody else and settle those claims also. And once all is done, close the procurement. So write down the lesson learned, file all the records in the record management system, archive the project, and then close the procurement. So you have procurement audit to review all the deliverables and the performance of the seller, identify the success and failure or degree of success, record all the lesson learned, and file in the record management system. Procurement negotiations happen when the claims are not settled. And we should remember that litigation is the last option. And the output is the closure of the procurement. We should remember one thing, that all the procurement should close before the project closes. So we have procurement file, deliverable acceptable, and the lesson learned document. Any question? Okay, the quiz for this chapter is already on. Because we have session tomorrow and day after, and after that we don't have session, I suggest you to please, for this week, please take all the questions as soon as the session is over, so that we can discuss it next day. So if you take this quiz today or tomorrow before we meet, then we can discuss if there is any query with respect to questions. Okay, because we are not going to meet after Sunday. We will also enable the other quizzes tomorrow. So you can take those quizzes also, depending upon what we cover tomorrow. I think we will be able to cover both the remaining, that is the stakeholder management and the professional responsibility. We also created a full-length exam that will be of 4 hours with 200 questions. and you can attempt this exam. There are multiple chances are provided in that. That will be time bound. There is a clock will be running on 4 hours, and then you need to take the exam. And I will suggest you that once you are done this, in the next after Sunday, that is from Monday to Thursday, one day you take out time for 4 hours and attempt this exam. I will enable that also maybe tomorrow.
Okay.
So this full length exam is based on actual questions picked from the PMP examination, or it's prepared by
They're similar to that questions actually. So it is, we don't know what comes actually. It is, they are the questions which come into PMP exam, nobody knows actually. All the questions you are seeing in this sphere are all our guess, and good guess actually. The idea of a full length exam is to give you an understanding that how exam will happen and what you should do. So it's a mix of like complex, medium complex, and the high complexity questions. And every time you do it, the question will be jumbled up. If you have seen these quizzes are normally like low complexity questions, then medium complexity questions, then high complexity questions. In the exam, it is not like that. All are shuffled. You can get the toughest question first also. The idea is to allow you to practice actually. Okay, we will make these questions available to you for next 2 to 3 months, so that you can practice them. We will try to add some more questions in this during this time, and we'll also change the way the quiz is happening right now. Right now it is sequential actually, and every time you do it, if you do it second time, the question will come in the same sequence. But what will available to you after this will be that every time you take a quiz of any subject, the question will be reshuffled.
That's a good idea. It will help us to get a feel of the real exam.
Even the quizzes will be available to you, and they will be reshuffled actually. So you want to practice a little more, then you can do that. I'm also in the process of preparing a mobile application, and will let you know once it is up.
Okay, so you need kind of app?
Yeah, it will be an app actually, and it is work in progress. So I hope it will be available very soon, and I will make that available to you at no cost.
Thank you.
Yeah. So it may take little time, but I will make it available to you.
Okay.
Has anybody scored 100% success in any of the modules, like or any of the quizzes? Because I don't see a 100% score in any of the modules in my case. So I'm just thinking like, am I doing good, or I don't know.
Okay, I tell you one thing. I don't think anybody would have got all the 100% right.
Yes, you are not the only one, Rajesh.
Yeah, nobody will get. Okay, if you are scoring above 6, okay, the grade is above 6, maybe coming to 7 or around that, I think you are good. Because it is the only one time you are listening this, you are hearing here, having some discussion, getting some clarification. Maybe you have once gone through the handouts also, and then you are attempting it. You don't have much experience, so it is difficult at this point of time. But I will say, in your practice, if you are achieving above 80%, only then you go to attempt the PMP exam, because PMP exam required 61% pass. Okay, our exam will not tell you are pass or fail. It will just tell you that how you are doing.
Before we complete these sessions, Vivek, would you be suggesting us any study plan, or how we should go ahead for the exam Sunday?
On the last day, I will try to give you a schedule, and if you follow that, I think you should be good in 1 month.
Okay, thanks.
But if you religiously follow, and I think if you, it's not tough. I give a schedule only for 2 hours a day. Any question? Great. So thank you very much once again to be here and attending this program. See you tomorrow once again.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Bye.
Bye.